Your City Commission study session. Please turn off or silence all cell phones during the meeting. Meetings are televised every day on Channel 2 at 7 p.m. and midnight, available for viewing on YouTube and Facebook Live. The Leavenworth City Commission is open to the public with limited seating capacity. So before the next meeting, if you wish to attend, please email cwilliamson@firstcity.org no later than 4 p.m. on the date of the meeting to reserve a seat. Seats are available on a first come and first served basis. We will begin tonight with opening a special meeting. And I need a motion for that.
So moved.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded. Please begin voting with Commissioner Leonhardt.
Aye.
Commissioner. Okay, Commissioner Griswold. Commissioner Wilson is not here, right?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, sir. Okay, 4-0. So we have, the first item is the presentation to outgoing Mayor Mike Griswold. Meet you over here.
Okay.
Well, Mike, this has been a good year. Very challenging, exciting year. Other than his mayoral duties, Mike's time as mayor has been devoted to leading Leavenworth through the crisis. The first change in city plans was when we had to cancel our beloved St. Patrick's Day parade, and he took the heat for that. Then our city services were shut down, opened up again with many changes in the way we do business. Mayor Griswold during the year conducted 17 Facebook Live town halls held throughout the year, informing and updating the citizens as information changed on the disease, and then informing the public about COVID relief funds available for city businesses and for nonprofits. Through it all, he listened to the CDC and our health experts, including our county health officer, Jamie Miller, to guide us through all of this, to include recommending a mask mandate, which we did. Under Mayor Griswold's leadership, the commission also decided to set aside at least $250,000 for a COVID relief small business grant award program. Last month, additional CARES Act funds were received by the city and were awarded to 15 community service organizations. Through it all, Mayor Griswold has provided steady guidance for our city. Thank you, Mayor Griswold, for your leadership during this trying year.
Thank you, Mayor Bowder. I appreciate it. One more second.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Yes, I was going to ask if you wanted to.
Sure. Bear with me for about 2 minutes. I do have some remarks. Thank you for the recognition and presenting me this handsome memento. It's been an honor to serve as mayor of Leavenworth, the first city of Kansas. First, I wish to once again thank my fellow commissioners for their support and hard work over this past year, as well as the city manager and his team, which rode point on most matters coming before the commission in 2020. I was impressed with and appreciative of the staff's knowledge, organizational awareness, and adaptability in dealing with the many challenges posed by the COVID-19 health crisis and the ensuing economic consequences. I also want to thank the city's partners at the federal, state, metro, county, and city level for the solid working relationships we have, and which I believe may have become stronger during this most challenging of years. The closer these relationships are, the more our city and community can accomplish the work our citizens deserve. And speaking of Leavenworth citizens, thank you for doing your part, particularly for those providing feedback to their city government on any number of matters, including the process of developing a vision and 2030 comprehensive land use plan for the city. This process is still ongoing, but we look forward to its conclusion not too long after the new year arrives. Finally, as I said a week ago, I wish our new mayor, Ms. Nancy Bowder, the very best during this upcoming year, which will continue to challenge all of us, not only with reducing the spread of COVID-19, But as we transition back to more steady state city operations, once the vaccine becomes broadly available, and continue to follow through with programs and projects already underway. When I accepted the gavel a year ago, I commented that the Leavenworth of today is on the march, confident its best days lie ahead. Under Mayor Bowder's leadership and with the support of her fellow commissioners, I look forward to a productive 2021 as we put in the work to improve the quality of life for Leavenworth citizens and continue to enhance the city's reputation. Thank you all very much.
Okay. Thank you. Next item on the agenda, consider city commercial insurance package for 2021.
Our city clerk, Carla Williamson, will handle this item.
Mayor and Commissioners, this is our annual time that we review the policy for the city for the new year. We either look at the renewal of the current provider, or this year we had another insurance company, Travelers, that wanted to bid on the services as well. So we had that to look at, and so I met with Mike Riley last week, and we went over the bids for both of them. And there's a premium summary attached there. The first column shows Intact, which is One Beacon. They rebranded this year.
Okay.
And changed their name, but it's One Beacon that we've been with since 2013.
Okay.
And it shows what our current premium is, what their bid was for this year, and then Travelers' quote. And as you can see, Travelers came in quite a bit lower. And we were with Travelers for 12, 15 years, something like that, before going with One Beacon. So it's a company that we're familiar with, they're familiar with us, and have a lot of confidence in. There are a couple things to look at based on that $421,000 quote, and Mr. Riley can go into this a little bit more. But one of the things is we can save about $26,000 on this that bid if we increase our wind and hail coverage deductible from $25,000 to $50,000. And what they're basically telling us is next year they're going to make us go to that deductible. So we might as well take advantage of that savings this year.
Okay.
So that would be a savings of about $26,000, and then they would recommend a $1 million umbrella coverage for an additional $16,000. So that would bring their total quote to $41,126 for the year, which again, that's quite a savings over what was budgeted and what we were paying. So staff would recommend to go with Travelers for that $411,126. And as I said, Mr. Riley is here to kind of go over a little bit more.
Mr. Riley, would you like to come and make some comments?
Sure. Madam Mayor, members of the commission, thank you for your time tonight. Carla did a great job of explaining the situation. It's this time of year that we always, again, look at renewing the insurance program for the city, and we spent the past 3 months going to the marketplace, as we typically do annually, to see what other carriers are out there. As we've discussed in the past, public entity insurance, there aren't a ton of carriers licensed and rated in the state of Kansas to handle the entire program for municipalities, especially municipalities your size. But One Beacon has been a great partner of the city. They've done a great job, I think, over the several years that we've had them. And we went to One Beacon, as Carla mentioned, after a long history with Travelers. Travelers is a phenomenal company, A-rated. We had a very long history with them, and they were a great partner with the city as well. They got to a point where they were being a little heavy-handed, quite honestly, in how they were treating all their public entity business. They had such a large book in both Kansas and Missouri and the Midwest. When we left Travelers several years ago, they were really pushing us for a $100,000 deductible on all of our properties, which at the time we thought was very heavy-handed. And as it turned out, One Beacon came in and solved that solution for us and was a great partner for many years. Travelers ended up losing a lot of their book of business as a result of their heavy-handedness, and has kind of reinvigorated their interest in kind of sharpening their pencil, so to speak. So when we went to them this year, as Carla mentioned, they generated what we believe to be an amazing quote at a time in the insurance marketplace where we are seeing probably 10 to 12% average increases across the board. You're seeing a nice, significant decrease. I have no hesitation going back to Travelers at this stage. They are a phenomenal company. They do a great job with public entity work, and they handle all of the insurance programs, whether it's property liability and all the specialty coverages that we need for law enforcement and public officials liability and all that good stuff. So I have no hesitation going to them. As Carla mentioned, there are a few caveats. They are offering that savings on the deductible for the property, moving it to $50,000. It's a savings of $26,000. I copied a quote for Carla from our underwriter that said they would highly encourage us to take that because the savings will not be there next year. I took that as they will force our hand to go to $50,000 next year. So we might as well take that savings. And I do think the added $1 million umbrella coverage, which is a separate liability limit, if in fact we exceed a claim limit, we'll have another $1 million of coverage to protect the city. I think those two changes are wise to spend the money on and to save the money on. And then there was another caveat that we're working with the city on, and we'll continue to work with them on. Travelers wants just kind of just sharpen the pencil a little bit on some policies written around your youth sports programs for some of the coverage that they provide. So we're going to work with Carla and staff to make that happen here very shortly. So we're pleased to present you what I think is an amazing quote through Travelers, a great carrier, and have no hesitation moving you all from one Beacon to Travelers this year.
Okay. I see something about drones in here. Do we have much liability in regard to drones? And does that fall under crime, or was that fall under?
No, the drone coverage, really it's from a liability perspective.
Right.
If a drone were to, let's say, crash into something, the liability aspect of that is covered. The drone coverage itself, and I'm trying to give a page, Madam Mayor, that you were looking at.
I think it's just on that
It's
page
just
that
general,
talks
it's
about-
not even,
Oh, it was
it's not
just-
even
Yeah.
explained here.
It was just listed, yeah.
It's just listed.
The drones under the One Beacon policy were not covered.
Oh, okay.
They are covered under Travelers. The
Okay.
actual drone themselves.
I think that's important.
Right.
Really.
We had a separate
It's
policy.
expensive.
Correct.
Yeah, we had, they were covered, it was a separate policy.
It
Oh,
was
got it. Okay,
Okay,
got
but
it.
this is all
right.
included.
All right, sounds good.
Okay.
Anybody else have any comments or questions?
Madam Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Riley, on the premium summary with Traveler's quote, where is that, under what category is the $50,000 deductible for wind and hail? Property and earthquake, or where are we saving that $26,000?
It's all going to be under property and earthquake.
So if we would stay at $25,000, that number would jump to 182 and change, something like that. Is that correct?
No, what we have quoted, what we have shown you on the page is the $25,000 deductible.
Okay.
Right.
Now, I don't know if you can answer, Ms. Williamson or Mr. McDonald, in the last 10 years, how many wind and hail claims have we had above 25,000 that anyone can think of?
In how many years? I can
Say
only,
in the last 10. Say in the last 10.
I can only speak for the last 8 years, and I know we had one wind claim.
Correct.
There were some cars and hail damage a few years.
You have any
And
idea
so-
on the amount of those claims? I know the first 25,000 was out of our pocket, but
Right.
Yeah, I don't remember on that one wind claim how much it totaled. Off the top of my head, I don't know.
and
But
what happened? Did the service center roof get blown off, or I know that didn't happen, but I mean,
it was one of those tanks that blew off. Remember, I've jogged his memory, now he can
Yeah, we
tell
can't
you a little
hear
bit
you,
more
so-
about it.
Now, we had a partially full calcium chloride tank that blew over at the service center and split the tank, spilled the contents, so we lost the contents in the tank. It was probably in the $25,000 range total fix it.
Okay.
As far as you can remember in the last 25, 30 years, I know you've been here 30 plus, how many claims above 25,000, above our deductible? Here's what I'm getting at. I know this is the last year we're gonna have 25,000 deductible, or that we potentially have if we pay for it. Is it wise, go ahead and make it 25? If we've had incidents in, you know, if 3 out of 10 years or 5 out of 30 years we have it, is that insurance worth it? Obviously, next year we won't have that option.
Right, and that's what we're proposing, that we go ahead and change that deductible now, and that'll be a $26,000 savings off of that total that they've given us.
But then it raises our deductible to 50 grand.
Correct.
Now, I'm wondering if we've had a bunch of cases,
Well, anyway.
and I'm thinking Travelers is thinking that you do have a bunch of cases, otherwise they wouldn't force your deductible up so high, because they want you to take the first 50 out of your pocket. I'm just wondering, you know, based on our history, if we can get 25,000 deductible this year, even though it's the last year, should we stick with it?
I don't,
You know, nobody, I guess we'd have to have Gary Lezak in here and see if we're gonna have any hailstorms or something in the spring, but,
I would tell you again, this is just for your property coverage, so it doesn't have anything to do with your automobiles, doesn't have anything to do with your equipment coverage. This is just purely your roof for wind and hail. Based off of history, we haven't seen the number of claims that would justify staying at 25, quite honestly.
where's tornado? Is tornado?
Tornado would be considered wind, right?
Wind, okay.
And again, so a wind claim or a hail claim that hits, and again, the risk here is roofs, right? And again, it's 50,000 per claim, per incident. So if we had a hailstorm come through, it's not 50,000 per building, it's 50,000 per claim.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
yeah, okay, okay. And hail on cars would be commercial automobile or
That's
truck?
correct. It goes back to the automobile deductibles,
Would be
which,
kind of on, like a comprehensive claim for a private owner?
that's correct, exactly right.
Okay, okay. So your advice, Mr. Riley, is jump on the 50,000 deductible, even though we have the option of 25,000 deductible for one more year.
My advice would be, now again, I'm not a, you know, you look in your crystal ball and tell me if we're gonna have a.
Yeah, I know.
there you go.
That's why I was asking in the last
Based
X
off
number
of
of years.
history, I mean, you're effectively getting the $26,000 of premium savings
Right.
on a $25,000 extra deductible.
Right.
It's a
Per,
wash.
per, yeah,
For the
plus
one
we
year.
have 2 hailstorms in a month,
Right,
you know.
for the-
But,
that's right.
yeah, I know. But if we haven't had that many, if
That's right.
history hasn't shown that to be,
Yeah, and then we can talk about it next year.
what? Then we can say we made a mistake.
Say, remember
We're
when.
rolling dice, we understand.
I think
Okay.
I think it's good.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
No,
Okay, thank you, Mr. Riley.
thank you.
So,
I have one more. Mr. Riley, why do you think that the errors and omissions for public officials is, you know, 80%, 85% less on Travelers versus
Good
Impact
question.
One Beacon?
It's a great question.
that's a good question.
If you look back at history, and if we provided a longer spreadsheet here, we would show you where the public official liability under One Beacon was a rating that they had. Quite simply, the answer is their rates for public official liability have always been high compared to Travelers.
Okay.
It's just that their total program was so attractive during the time that we were with them. Every carrier rates these coverages differently, and when there are certain claims that happen along certain lines of businesses, right, be it automobile or public official E&O, they tend to rate those lines up, even though it's just one line item in the entire program. But quite honestly, for One Beacon, they're a smaller carrier, and that one public official E&O, that liability line, they've always had higher rates in the marketplace than Travelers.
Okay,
They've always been very good on all their other lines.
okay, thank you.
That's a huge difference, though.
It is.
Okay. All right, any other comments, questions? Okay, do we have a motion?
Commissioner Leonhard I move to approve the 2021 commercial insurance package with Travelers in the amount of $411,126.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. Please begin voting with Commissioner Griswold.
Aye.
Commissioner Preisinger?
Aye.
Commissioner Leonhard?
Aye.
And I vote aye. 4-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda, consider the city festival management contract.
I'm going to turn this item over to Taylor Tedder, our Assistant City Manager. Good evening, Madam Mayor and Commission. Tonight before you is the 2021 City Festival Management Contract, and we have Kelly from O'Neill Events and Marketing on the call, but I will go ahead and give you a brief overview of what we're presenting tonight.
Okay.
So building on our success from the fantastic 2019 Camp Leavenworth Festival, and then some of the things that we learned along the way with our Leavenworth campaign that O'Neill handled for us, making those great socially distanced events in times of uncertainty, we're pivoting towards the 2021 festival, which we believe that we can fine-tune our efforts from both of those events and really bolster Camp Leavenworth as that signature city-sponsored festival that we've come to know and love, and bring it back bigger than ever with exclusive entertainment and activities for September of 2021. So I'll go ahead and turn it over to Kelly and let her give you a little more information.
Hi, and thank you for having me. Yes, we're excited to be able to do what we hoped to do this last year, and really put together a festival that we could build upon from 2019. We've got some really fun things in the works, if you approve this, that I think, as Taylor alluded to, are going to be really wonderful. It's a great city festival. It proved that the community really embraced it when you guys did it in 2019, and that even the comments and the feedback we received with Leavenworth, where we just had to pivot and create socially distanced things, people were just really excited, particularly those new to the community who had recently just moved there from Fort Leavenworth. They had lots of comments how this is such a great way to really meet the community and really be a part of the community. So we hope you'll consider doing it again, and we hope to put on a great 2021 show.
That's good.
I would just ask, just from a macro level in terms of, and I really applaud you, Ms. Wenzel, and the company in terms of appreciating your flexibility and adaptability as far as Leavenworth, and I think it was a very, very successful event for a very, very uncommon year. So thank you for that. From a macro standpoint, in terms of the festival that we had in September of 2019, just one or two things that we may have developed some insights or lessons on. What could you share with us in terms of even doing it better than it was the inaugural version?
I think just understanding what the likes and the wants and what was more popular than anything. I think obviously when you start a new festival, it's harder to get some vendors in and sponsor support, and we're hearing really good support, so we hope to get some of that sponsor support. We hope to commit some of those food vendors early on because they've seen the success, so that we have a little bit more food options.
Okay.
Entertainment we would have in some new ways. So, we did learn a lot, but not a ton will change, just tweaking along the way.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so the contract for services, Mr. Kramer, is this, the festival event management, financial management, so that's a total of $61,292, is that correct? Oh, Taylor, I'm sorry. Mr. Tedder. I'm just looking at the payment page in here and trying to figure out what we're voting on here.
Or do we?
I got page 17.
Or do we just make a motion to?
Yes, that's correct. It's both the event management and the financial
So
management,
that comes
but
to 61,
But there's another,
292, but that's,
there's another one too, that I saw in here,
Yeah, but that
something
was,
about financial management at $800 a month or,
well, that's on here. That's on this page.
is
on
that
17.
included in that 58 and the 2497?
no, that's in addition. So it's the 58,795 for the event management, and
Right.
then it's 2497
for
for the
financial.
financial management.
Right.
So
61,292.
Yes,
And that covers, is that, did I read something? That 800, that other stuff was included in this 2497 you're saying?
this is the only expense
Yeah,
numbers
I
that I
guess
see
what
on
we're trying to figure out, are we gonna be voting on to approve a contract with a specific dollar amount, or are we just?
no, you can vote on approving the contract for the city manager to sign the contract.
You can vote on it
Okay.
as presented.
Yeah,
That's what
that's
I would
fine.
do with the amounts included in there. And
The
you're-
amounts are
you're correct
included in
on the
there,
two
we should
different
know.
aspects of
Yeah.
the 61,000.
Okay.
It is as presented.
Okay, I think that sounds great.
Another question I have, Madam Mayor, right here on page, what page am I on? That is where I saw it, page 14. It
Okay,
has the volunteer management system at $800 annually and the sponsorship management system $250 annually. These are estimates. Is that included in that money or the 61,000 or the festival third
I can
party?
answer
it's
that.
the same number, it's the same number.
I'm sorry?
It's the same number as we just talked about. On page 14,
Basically,
that's the same number as on
Oh, sorry.
page 17.
It is?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I'm sorry, Kelly. Go ahead.
I was just going to clarify that the fees are separate, and some of those costs that we put in there are just kind of vendors that we plan to use,
Okay,
but that those are built into the cost of the budget for the event itself.
Okay.
So other than our fees, the volunteer management, sponsor management, those are built into the budget. We just want to make sure that those things can be done because we have to book those at the beginning of the year.
sure, that makes sense. So that is the total number that I see on here.
yep.
Okay, well, festival event management, I see 5,300 a month, 58,795, financial man at 227, go down
Right.
2 more paragraphs. It talks about third-party software hard costs.
Correct, and sir, that's built into the
That's built
actual
into it.
festival budget
That is,
for the
okay,
event.
disregard.
So this is purely for the management and financial management
Okay.
of the
The
festival.
festival.
Got
And
it, got
planning
it.
and,
Just an explanation where that money was going, I guess.
right.
Okay,
Yeah, breakdown.
thank you, Kelly. Any other comments or questions on
No.
this before we vote? All right, do I have a motion?
Madam Mayor, I move that we approve the city festival management contract with O'Neill Events and Marketing as presented.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded. Please begin voting. Commissioner Leonhardt,
Aye.
Commissioner Preisinger.
Aye.
Commissioner Griswold.
Aye.
And I vote aye. All right, 4-0. Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, have a nice
Happy
holiday.
holidays.
Looking forward to it. Looking forward to this event. Okay, the last item on the open special meeting is consider the sale transfer of 505 Ottawa.
Once again, this will be Carla Williamson, the city clerk.
Mayor and Commissioner, this is to consider the sale transfer of city-owned property located at 505 Ottawa Street. The city was approached by James Moyers about the property. It's a small piece of land next to the property that his daughter and son-in-law own. And it's just kind of overgrown and wooded right now. And he wanted to acquire it for his kids and present it to him as a Christmas present, kind of as a surprise. So hopefully nobody's watching this.
Yeah,
It's more of a surprise for them. So anyway.
Probably not.
So we did look at the property, find out when we acquired it, why we acquired it, if there was any problems with the land or anything. It was purchased in 2012 at the county tax sale for $200. There's no there's no sewer or any problems with anything running through it. There's no problems with being property that we acquired because of flood issues or anything like that. And so there's no real use for the city to have that at this time. So staff looked at it and agreed that, it would be a piece of property that would be a good candidate for somebody, a neighboring property to
And this is
acquire.
one of those small lots,
It
isn't it?
is.
in North
It is.
Leavenworth, so it would be,
24-foot frontage. is
right,
what,
right,
Uh,
small.
It's small, I don't know
Is it
exactly
24?
what.
Yeah.
I think
I think it
that
is
part of
24.
town
Yeah.
used to be like that. yeah.
So
Yes.
the plan is that they're going to clean it up and just.
Very good.
At some time probably incorporate it into their lot.
There's no structure on it, correct?
There's no structure on it.
No, nothing on it.
No, so.
And you can't build a house on it, right, because it's so small? Or it's not?
With 24-foot
Yeah.
frontage.
With
it
the,
would
yeah,
work.
Yeah.
depending on
You
the,
need 72 now, Mr. McDonald?
Yeah,
Depends on your zone, but you can't on a 24-foot lot.
Yeah.
anything, okay.
So staff would recommend that we go ahead and sell the property to Mr. Moyer for $200, the price that we paid for it, and just do a quick claim deed to him. The sales contract is attached with your policy report, so we just request that you approve that sales contract and the transfer by quick claim. And there would be no cost incurred by the city. They would just pay that fee, and then they would do the filings
sounds like a good
with the
deal.
Register of Deeds.
okay. Okay, any other questions? Ms. Williamson? No? Do I have a motion?
Madam Mayor, I move that we transfer and sell the property of 505 Ottawa to James C. Moyers in the amount of $200.
Is there a second?
A second?
It's been moved and seconded. Please begin voting with Commissioner Griswold.
Aye.
Commissioner Preisinger?
Aye.
Commissioner Leonhard?
Aye.
And I vote aye. 4-0.
Madam
Okay,
Mayor, I move that we close the special meeting.
I second?
it's been moved and seconded. Please begin voting. Commissioner Leonhard?
Aye.
Commissioner
Aye.
Preisinger?
Aye.
Commissioner Griswold? And I vote aye. Meeting is closed. Now, we have a study session. So the next item is, on the study session is review the Sidewalk Cost Share Program.
Mr. Mayor and Commission, I'll turn this over to our Public Works Director in just a minute. The City Commission and City staff have made numerous changes over the years to the Sidewalk Cost Share Program and the Sidewalk Program in general. It's been a very positive and successful program for the city for since the 1970s is when the Sidewalk Program started. Most recently, Commissioner Leonhard approached me about looking again at the reimbursement rates. Costs have gone up as the years have moved forward, so I asked our Public Works Director to get with his staff and see what conditions in the field were, what our costs today, how do they compare to what our reimbursement rates are, and then come back with some information to share with the Commission, so that's what we're here to do tonight, so I'm gonna turn it over to Mr. McDonald.
Thank you, sir. Madam Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager has summarized quite a bit of the information that has been provided in the policy report. But we had created a cost share program that we tried to be straightforward and simple, so property owners can work directly with their contractor. Ultimately, we believe that the city exposure should be 1/2 of what the cost of the contract to repair or replace sidewalk is. And we base that on the property owner finding their contractor and then bringing us evidence that the contractor has been paid. They have to obtain a permit and it has to be inspected. The costs have certainly increased over the years. We are currently operating under a presumption that basically sidewalk costs $5 per square foot. A review of our recent reimbursement projects through this program, as well as city-funded projects, large and small. We believe that the cost of sidewalk is more closely to between $10 and $15 a square foot. And we are recommending that the City Commission approve or at least concur that it's worth raising the reimbursement rate to be for residential sidewalks, 1/2 of $10 per square foot, so we would raise our reimbursement rate from $2.50 to $5 per square foot. We also have an option for commercial properties that invest, I believe it's over 50% of the assessed valuation back into their property, and they want to do a sidewalk project. We will reverse we can support that up to 100% of that $10 per square foot. It's not an automatic $5 or currently $2.50 a square foot. You have to show that it's what it costs, and then we will pay half or $2.50 under the current program. But the truth is, it's been maxed out. We haven't paid less than that $2.50 in a long, long time.
Right.
So our goal this evening is to bring this to you. We checked with the city clerk as to what action the city commission might take, and I think we've done everything. But if the commission believes that this is an appropriate direction to proceed with, then we will write up something that resembles a policy statement and bring it for some level of approval with the city commission.
Yeah, Mr. McDonald, quick question. So the current reimbursement, how long has that been, that price? Has it been like 2008? Or
Probably. I think we raised, it was originally, I don't think it was ever written down. It was always just half. And so we formalized it at about $3.50 a square foot for the presumed cost of a square foot. And then we raised that to $5 in that 8 or 9 or 10 time frame. So it's been a good 10 years.
10 years, okay.
At this level.
Yeah,
Okay.
quite a bit different.
Yeah.
And Sidewalk has not gotten any cheaper at all.
No.
We do offer, interestingly enough, a brick sidewalk kind of offset that came out of some of the work where people are trying to restore or repair brick sidewalks.
Really?
Many of you are aware that on projects that involve street paver bricks or sidewalk bricks that we require the contractors to bring those back to the service center. We make those available to homeowners who are repairing the public sidewalks. This is not for your patio or the walkway back out to your, the alley from your back porch or something like that. This is for those that are replacing or repairing their sidewalk. We offer those bricks as an offset to their costs that they may have, or if they're doing the work themselves, the bricks are essentially free.
Oh, nice.
Sounds good.
Yep.
I have a question that's, it's page 36, there's a chart there, Mr. McDonald, goes back to 2017, those, and it looks like there's an average of 5 or 6 projects per year for the amounts. Is that the amount the city has kicked in over there on the right, like the total for 2017, $7,937.50?
I believe those are the city funds that are contributed to the project.
Yeah, I think it's a good program. I'm wondering, I mean, is there anything we could really think about maybe in terms of trying to scale this a little higher? Just in terms of making it maybe more desirable from the standpoint of businesses and residents, from the standpoint of getting more strategic communication or marketing on it, or even looking at maybe a little different match, 60% for the city, 40% for the residents, so to speak.
Those things are all out there. Some discussions that we had in the past were, this basically circumvents every single purchasing regulation the city has.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to reduce the exposure to the city of perhaps being, taken to the cleaners with somebody with a bad, working with the contractor to say inflate a price. So that's where we wanted to set the price up front. And we asked, we don't ask for 3 quotes. We don't ask for any of that. We just ask that they bring a bill that says paid. So, with that, it's worked well. The more kind of nuances on it we make, the more, chances are that we'll have somebody not understand, and we'll have upset staff or upset people. But certainly changing the matching percentage on the part of the city is fine. I would caution against going too high on the reimbursement value. I think you potentially set yourself up to. It was really interesting, I guess, back in 2008 when the economy had some problems. All of the small contractors all of a sudden realized this program was out here, and we had quite a, we had a run on sidewalk reimbursements, and they were all magically fully reimbursed projects. It's,
I think
they were all $5 a square foot, so you kind of wonder how that happens. So that would be my caution, is to not set the reimbursement rate so high as to invite.
You're already
problems.
doubling it, which I think is an incentive for the program. And of course, we can, talk about it in the media or whatever to
Right.
get the
And-
word out
and
there, but it's.
The contractors are our best
That's an
advertising.
incentive.
Because they do most of the work, I mean,
Right.
right? So, I mean, the work in terms of getting the homeowner or, residential homeowner or a business to, they can kind of smooth it and tell them how it's gonna work and how the reimbursement's gonna work, et cetera.
Yes, once the contractors understood what the process was, it's a couple of hiccups here and there, and then we work with almost every contractor in town on this.
I don't know.
And the property owners that are doing the brick sidewalks, they're kind of, each one is unique. They don't work on their sidewalk and then go find somebody else's to work on. So you have to kind of help them through the process. It's kind of fun to see the change that they can make on their properties.
Yeah, that's neat.
I mean, some of these sidewalks, particularly maybe in the business district downtown, I mean, we do have like an ordinance in terms of, I mean, some of them, and I don't know, I think there's been some improvements over the, maybe recent years, but sometimes there's an uneven, the part of the sidewalks here and the other parts here, so it's kind of in a need of repair. But, I mean, is that acceptable from the standpoint of like downtown and in front of the businesses?
Yes.
If you have those sidewalks that are, not in good repair?
Yes, if you have a sidewalk that is crumbling or has a trip hazard or something else that you believe should be repaired, it's eligible for the standard cost sharing of, if we go to the new rate, it would be half of $10, be $5 a square foot. If you were in a property that you invested tens or $100,000 into and wanted to do a lot of sidewalk, we would probably be into that 100% that full, perhaps $10 a square foot.
No, I think it's great. I mean, it's been 12 years, so we need, we need to,
It looks good.
yeah, it's good.
I guess we don't need a consensus to move.
Just a couple
To do
other
anything
things,
on
just,
this, do it.
want to make it clear for anyone listening. If you do use this program, you have to bring in the bid before the work is started.
Right. You have to basically contact our office, and I think the forms are available online. It's very simple. With the internet, we can take a picture, get a picture of your yard, and you say, this is what I want to fix. And then we'll you bring in a contractor estimate. We'll try to get one of our people, check it, make sure that it's related, that it's a rational project as been described to us. And then they have to get a permit. I think the permits are $10 or $15 or something. And then your contractor, or you and your contractor do the project. We do ask that you bring in an invoice that's marked paid, signed by the contractor, and then that's when we process the paperwork.
And can a property owner do the work themselves?
Yes, they can.
Okay.
There's, basically, I think if they do the work themselves, I think we end up essentially paying for the material or something. We've got a little wrinkle in there to help with that too.
And I see on curbing, we pay, I don't know what we pay, $35 to $45 per lineal foot is the estimate right now. So if their curb in front of their house is not what they like, they can hire a contractor to fix it, and we'll pay them back at whatever rate.
Yeah, basically at half of that rate. Sometimes the sidewalk and the curbing go together, often in downtown, and we'll come up with an equitable solution. But curbing's very expensive. Sidewalk's expensive all by itself, and you throw in curbing, and then you just wonder where all the money went.
When we do street projects in town, quite often the city repairs the curbing. So, but then that homeowner is not charged for that.
That's correct.
So this is when a homeowner, when it's not on the street repair
Once a
plan,
sidewalk, yeah.
and they can repair the curb.
Right, this is not new curb where there never was curb. This is repairing. Remove the old curb and put in the new curb.
Okay.
Because it's all really set up for it, the grading and the drainage.
Okay, thank you.
So I think it's a good program. I think that it would be a heck of a lot better if there were more, property owners kind of participating in it.
Yes.
Do we have any ideas on how can we market it better, possibly, or?
We always work with PIO and try to get a piece in the newsletter. May have been a while since we've done that, but that's always interesting.
Yeah, that's a good point.
The largest one was the First Methodist Church, up on,
yeah.
On the 4th Street side, on
Right.
the
Yeah,
east side of their
That's great.
property. They used, I know they used the program last
They-
fall.
Right, and the apartments at the old North Broadway School, I believe.
Yeah, yeah,
That was involved
circled
in.
that whole block.
Yeah.
that's a good program. I'd just
Okay.
like to see it scaled up, but, and maybe if we can look at maybe doing a little bit more with respect to marketing, but, I think it's good, and I support the increase in the reimbursement rates.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I
Thank you.
think you've got a consensus, even though we don't have that on here,
Exciting.
to move forward with this.
Yep.
Okay, next item, review the stormwater retention, and stormwater treatment facility maintenance.
Thank you, sir. Madam Mayor and Commissioners, this is kind of moving forward with, we're from the government and we're here to help you. As we talk somewhat on grease traps, this is a little more subtle than grease trap problems, but it is part of our stormwater permit that we are issued by KDHE, by the power given them by the Environmental Protection Agency. The Kansas Department of Health and Environment stormwater permit is modeled, as all of them are for in the cities our size. There's 6 minimum control measures where we have good housekeeping, we prevent illicit discharges, and we control construction runoff and that sort of thing. One of the process, if you remember, there was all these little pigeonholes and points. One of the points that we said we thought we could achieve would be to improve our performance of existing what's called best management practices, which is kind of the fancy name for installations that have been done by entities or subdivisions to improve water quality. There's another new term you're going to see in here. It's called an STF, stormwater treatment facility. So if I say that, I'm trying to not do jargon. It's an interesting process. But what happens is we require people to put in detention basins, or they have to put in bio swale. The city's put in a lot of projects where we have the water runs over the grass, and then the water soaks in through the special bioswale. All of those things need to be inspected periodically and made sure that they're working correctly. If you're a large institution like a Walmart or even Cadence, their big project up at Something Metropolitan, they have big underground systems. A lot of them will have there are companies that will go out there and do periodic maintenance inspections and perform. They remove the trash, they check for things that aren't working right, or if it's silted in and that sort of thing. They'll provide an annual report. Well, for several years, we have asked for people that have these facilities to please send us an copy of your annual report, or submit a checklist that says that you did something that you were supposed to do on your stormwater treatment facility. And in some of them, it's simply just mow the grass and that sort of thing. And as in the grease traps, we don't get a lot of response, but we do have an annual meeting. We invite everybody that we send that's kind of on our list that has something like this to kind of come in, and usually it's in February or first week in March. And let's talk about where the city's going with stormwater quality, because this is directly focused on that. And we usually get some pretty good attendance on that, but we've been promising them for years that we were going to bring some regulation to this, where there was going to be a requirement that they will have to have a permit from the city, and we're going to have the annual report. And this is a step in that direction to make that happen. We've proposed a variety of things in here. I want to make it clear that this language does not exist in our current municipal code. This was our attempt at kind of borrowing language from other sections in other cities and creating some section numbers. So we're going to have to work to refine this forward. But basically, our proposal to the city commission is that the city would move forward requiring that anybody that has a water quality feature that was installed as part of a project that we approved, that they have to have essentially a permit for it. And that we would then receive at least an annual report that they've paid
That's
attention.
new projects, right? New.
Every
project.
Everything we've done since 2012.
Okay.
These are people who are already in contact with, probably in contact with 70% or more of the people that,
Okay.
that have this.
So, Mr. McDonald, as of right now, I mean, from these projects from 2012 to present, are we not getting their annual reports or their
Some
inspections?
we do, like Walmart, they send theirs in like clockwork. Typically, it depends on who's in charge at some of the other places, the federal institutions that are within city limits. If they have a maintenance staff that understands what we're asking for, we'll get the permits. If that person moves to a different job location, the new person may have no idea, and it takes some reaching out to get a hold of them.
Okay, so you have to reach out sometimes.
We do have, we have records, we have copies of the plans. A couple, 3 years ago, we started requiring that somebody in authority, typically in the ownership group of like the hotels, sign a document that says, this is our maintenance plan, and it's goes into the permit. So that they can't say, well, I didn't know about that.
Oh, good.
Okay.
That's a lesson we learned early on, is nobody knew anything about this, and we couldn't argue with it because we really hadn't thought too much about some of them either. So we've been gradually working for this. There are some properties that have been built where they have medium-sized parking lots. They don't have an underground detention basin or anything like that, but it's designed that all the water off the parking lot with all the grit and the cigarette butts and the Coke bottles and who knows what all, it all kind of runs off into the grass. And the grass catches all that stuff, and then the water kind of goes on fine, and that's fine. That is approved on a lot of smaller projects as specifically intended to work that way. The management plan is you pick up the trash and you mow the grass and you make sure that the water will in fact run off. And sometimes we get people just go, what? It's a weird world out there. So we're trying to work our way through it with a fairly modest permitting fee to get people to raise their consciousness level, to have them understand that that's not just grass at the edge of the parking lot, that's part of a system you're supposed to maintain. There are other institutions, typically commercial, small commercial sites that don't have nice grass. They'll have like a basket in the inlet to collect the trash when it washes off, and they're supposed to go around and gather all the trash up out of the basket and dump it in the sack periodically. I think that lasts until about the second assistant manager gets hired, and he's tired of picking the trash out of there, and that goes away. And so we need to follow up with those, because that's their water quality plan, is to pick the trash up out of their parking lot in the catches in the baskets, and they don't know that.
So you have inspectors that go around and check all this?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, okay.
It's not
Would that
full-time.
would that increase with this or not?
No, it'd be the same level of effort. One of our engineering technicians, this is kind of his penance for a previous life or something. He's got a notebook of all the places that we've identified.
Okay.
He keeps the contact list. And he does periodic inspections. And I'm telling stories. I know I shouldn't do this, but there's even one subdivision out there that had a pond that was part of the subdivision for runoff. The developer, this is an older thing, the developer got tired of it, sold it off as a lot. And then the person that bought it, we worked with them, and they didn't like the fact that we were interfering with their enjoyment of their pond. They in turn sold it to somebody else, they are in no physical condition or financial condition to take care of maintaining a medium-sized pond in the city of Leavenworth. So I think we're working on a way to have them, meet their obligation for having a part of a subdivision system. I'm no giant fan of homeowners association, but sometimes having one that's responsible to own things like that is a good thing.
Okay,
So there's 100 stories out there,
okay.
or 1,000.
Do you have a pretty good list of all the owners of these stormwater treatment facilities, or is it?
I'd say it's, the ones that we're going to be focused on, I'm guessing there's probably at this point under 100, and we probably are in reasonable contact with 70% of them. So it's not a huge universe. In fact, I think the city is probably the largest holder of these types of things between the Eagles Pond, you've got
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
the work we did in the parking lot out here, some of the work we've done on city property between Broadway and Ottawa, or Broadway and 7th Street from the vicinity of Ottawa. Those are ours, and we need to fill out our own forms and put them into the book and check the stuff and pick the trash up.
Right.
And mow the grass.
Right.
But the other owners are business owners or developers, you know, I mean,
Yeah,
those-
90% of them are some sort of a business.
Okay.
There are a few that are residential property owners that have a pond. They don't realize that it's part of a system.
Right. And you consider this pretty critical in terms of, because we did approve that stormwater management program, I think, in October, right?
Yes.
So to have a viable program, we need, at least as one component of it, what you recommend.
Enforcement, yeah.
Have some
Right.
teeth in it?
Yes, we need to implement a program to more aggressively, or I won't say aggressively, we have to effectively work on maintaining water quality structures that have been constructed in the community. Identifying them, having a permit and an education effort to go with that is key. Getting some sort of an annual report back is really, really helpful to do all that, and that's just terribly awful to get those back. And so that's why we're proposing to be a fine of, I can't recall the number off the top of my head, to do that. If you don't provide the annual report, after a couple of nice letters or phone calls, and then we just send you a ticket, I guess. And then the other thing, we haven't fully fleshed it out, is the larger systems, we'd like to have them certified that they in fact are working the way they were designed to. If the pond is designed to be 4 foot thick to handle a 25-year, or 4 foot deep to handle a 25-year storm, and it's silted in, and it's 2 foot deep, or 1 foot deep, at least the owners of that ought to acknowledge that. I don't know if we can make them do anything to fix it, but you at least need to acknowledge it. And so we need to figure out how to get people to look at that. And Mike Hooper did most of the work on this, and he was proposing that there would be a 3-year certification on these. That makes sense if you're like got a large pond or something. It doesn't make sense if you got the water runs off the grass in your parking lot.
Right.
So we'll need to work on that a little bit.
Okay, so this is kind of a draft.
Yeah, this is not a finished product. This is the direction we're going. I expect that we will work with the clerk's office for a timing, and on the grease traps, I think it was a July or midsummer was kind of your off-peak thing for permits. So that gives us time to work on at least the first phase, which is permitting, and perhaps the annual, a fine for not providing the annual report sort of thing to implement it in the summer.
I'm all for compliance with an important program like our stormwater management program, but have any of the developers or business owners given you any feedback on this draft program yet, Mr. McCollum?
We've been meeting with them annually, or at least telling them that we're having an annual meeting, and no one has squawked loudly. We had not put dollar values on that, but we said it would not be, the permitting fee would not be onerous, but it would exist, and we were fully expecting that there would be a fee a fee for that and a fine for not having the annual report.
Yeah, I see the fines. I didn't see a proposal for the fee. I mean, did I miss something?
I was thinking, it should have been in there at about $25, but I'm just thinking here, I don't remember actually saying it. Mike Cooper is here.
I would just be a little, and I believe that there has to be consequences for, not adhering to, the particular provisions of the program. But I would just say we've got to be just a little bit careful in terms of, getting too aggressive as well.
Oh, absolutely. And this is, most of the people that have the smaller installations, they have no idea that this is even an issue. The people that have like Walmarts or Dillons, they absolutely understand it's an issue. So we've got to
You got
navigate that.
education.
You got education, right.
Education requirement, I think.
Definitely. Okay, any other questions?
Those will come back.
I guess Mr. Hooper's on the line too, so.
Oh, is he?
So will this come back to the commission at some point?
Oh, yes, we're, anything that dramatic will certainly come to you
Yes,
for review.
It will. Okay,
Does Mr. Hooper have anything to add?
I know, he's getting
that's what I asked. Maybe he's not there
Well,
anymore.
he was
That's okay.
earlier, he may have,
That's okay.
he's out north
All
of
right.
Baser where there's no cell phone service.
Oh.
I am here.
We're talking about you. Do you
Yeah.
have anything to add?
Mr. McDonald did a real good job of covering everything. I don't have anything to add at this point in time.
Okay, thank you, sir. Have a good night.
I was gonna say, he retires here.
Yeah, he
Probably his
retires on
last
the
meeting.
23rd, so he can come back
Yeah,
as a
happy
consultant.
retirement.
Happy
Mike.
retirement, Mr. Hooper.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, thank you,
No,
sir.
thank you.
All right, the last item on the agenda is the COVID-19 Relief Small Business Grant Program update.
Mr. Mayor and Commission, I'm going to turn this over to Taylor in just a second. As you'll remember, right before the Thanksgiving holiday, Taylor came to the commission with an ambitious plan to get some business relief out. And we're just a couple weeks later, and he's done a lot of great work, so I wanted to have him come and just give the public and the commission a quick update of where we are.
Great.
Okay.
Yes, so tonight I'll provide you that update and then give you a proposal for perhaps a slight change to the plans of the program. So on the 25th of November, as you know, we launched the program and promoted that through all of the different promotion arenas that we have, social media, the paper, Channel 2, a press release, and then we also relied on our community partners like Main Street and the Chamber to get the word out. And that was very successful. We had a lot of interest so far. We've awarded 32 grants over the past 2 weeks, totaling $116,750. And I've had a lot of inquiries from businesses that have been open less than 2 years. Obviously, they have been hurting as well. And out of the 32 grants that we awarded, we only had 6 that were denied, and 5 of those were because they were open less than 24 months.
Okay.
And really the only tweak to the program that I would suggest would be allowing those that have been established before March 1st, 2020, and then allow them to use their projections of what they had expected to make. I deal with a lot of these businesses, and I know a lot of these businesses, and when I work with them on an e-community loan or even just helping them enter the city, they share their business plans with me, and I see their financials. So seeing what they expected to make and what they're making now,
Yeah, I
it's
think
pretty
that's very
easy
valid.
to
It's
pretty
very
easy to
valid.
look at.
Sure.
But for this week, we have none in the queue so far. I'm gonna try to keep promoting this and continue the word of mouth and promotion of it so that we can definitely get the help to businesses that haven't taken advantage of it yet.
So for the businesses that have been in business for less than 24 months, the grant would not exceed, would be up to $2,500 as opposed to $5,000 for the businesses that have been in existence for longer than 2 years?
Correct, that's what I was proposing, and it still allows relief for them and, still provides relief to those businesses, and the intent of the program originally, the businesses that have invested in the community and been here for quite some time, so those funds would still be there, for them to get up to 5,000, and when I'm scoring the applications, we decide the award amount based on the number of employees they have, the type of business sector they're in, and then we look at their COVID expenses, so that'd be things like PPE and cleaning, modifications to their operation, and then their actual revenue loss. So some of the businesses have enormous revenue losses, and some not so much, but they have some COVID expenses. So so that's how I'm basing the awards.
Well, the first 2 years are the hardest for a business in any climate, let alone this. So I think it's a good idea to include them in there as well.
So you still have $133,000 approximately left
Correct.
to give out. And you estimate by opening it up to those, opening it up a little bit further, you estimate this to be depleted within the next 90 days? I mean, your goal is to get it all out, I know, but.
Right. I would think in the next 90 days, this would be gone.
Okay.
I think there's a lot of businesses that maybe aren't involved in the Chamber or Main Street, and they just,
Don't know.
they're not reading our
That's true.
Facebook page or reading the Leavenworth Times, so it's, telling people that no businesses, hey, send them my way.
If, just a thought, if, I don't know how many CPA firms there are in town, probably 8, I'm just guessing. Just a quick call to each one of them, because almost all these small businesses give their books to their CPA for their annual taxes and things. CPAs are a good way of getting that word out to their businesses.
Yeah, that's a great point. I've had a couple reach out to me for a few businesses that they represent, so I think that's a great idea to promote it to all of them.
Because they'll call that person, they're so busy with their business, they're not watching this, they're not doing
Well,
anything
yeah,
else.
they'll share the information with their
Yeah.
clients too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's good
That's
idea.
great.
I appreciate the update and the adjustment for the adjustment that you want to make for the businesses that have been in business for less than 2 years. Now, it says action, we're going to provide consensus. Can you do this with just the consensus? Can you, because I don't want to wait a month for the,
Yeah, give us some time.
okay, to do what you've suggested as far as those businesses that have been in business for less than 2 years.
Right.
Yeah, I just don't want to wait 3 or 4 weeks
Yeah, I'm okay with
to
it.
vote on that, so.
Good.
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
I am.
everybody
Yeah.
okay with that?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, that's great.
Let's do it.
So my plan would be to adjust the wording on the web form
Right.
and the website, and then share that to everyone so that
Good.
they know.
Great. I'm glad to hear that. That sounds good.
Great.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Tedder.
Thank you, Mr. Tedder. Okay, that concludes everything on the agenda. Before I go around, I just want to say a few words, and I'm going to go first this time, because this is kind of like old business from last meeting. And Mr. Kramer, if I'm saying anything wrong here, please correct me, but we talked about demolishing houses last week. And I just want to stress that we're not here to take someone's home away from them and demolish it. There are several things that occur before a house gets put on the demo list. One thing is the house is vacant, and I know that the houses I go out and look at around the neighborhood, some of them have been vacant for 10 years, even 20 years. And you all know what happens to a house when it's not taken care of. In many cases, the house has been abandoned. It's been set vacant for many years. Sometimes we can't even get a hold of the owners. We look at the houses in open meeting, and we place blighted houses on the demo list with the guidance from our inspectors and from staff who have the knowledge in building, construction, and that sort of thing. We have a public meeting where owners can come in and meet with us. And most of the time, no one even shows up, at which time the process is just continued. But sometimes after all this neglect, houses get purchased and fixed up to be placed back on the market, and we're very happy to see that. But other times, family members may come back and it might get emotional. But to me, if the house has been vacant for so many years, something should have been done about it a long time ago. The fact is, also, if someone were actually living in the house, it would be maybe on the code enforcement list, but not on the list to be demolished. So if you worry about having your house getting demolished, move into it. If someone, and if someone were living in the house and they're a low incomer may qualify, they may qualify for funds from our community development block grant to help fix the roofs and structural components. Mr. Kramer, is anything you'd like to add to that, or did I miss anything
No, I
on?
think you hit the nail on the head with abandoned. I think it's really key for the public to remember that these are properties that sometimes commission, sometimes code enforcement, but a lot of times we hear from neighbors that they have been abandoned, and that somebody who may have an attachment to that house may check on it monthly. They may not, but in those intervening hours, days, and weeks, it sits in that neighborhood abandoned. And so that's really where this program focuses its efforts, on these structures that have really just sit there alone.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to stress with the general public that we're not taking somebody's home away from them, okay?
Abandoned.
Now, we'll go around any other comments on that? Okay.
Oh, yeah,
Yes,
not on
we'll
that.
go around
Oh.
go around
Oh, okay.
for comments. Go ahead.
Okay.
Commissioner Leonhard.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Okay, this is our last meeting until the next year, so just some highlights. We had a lot of street maintenance this year, which was great. I know there's still a lot to be done, but it's a beginning. I got a lot of nice comments on it, and yeah, I think it's really great improvements I've noticed. We've purchased new police vehicles this year, ladder truck for the fire department. We've completed 5 major stormwater projects with at least half a dozen smaller ones as well. So just a couple things I highlighted. I want to reach out and just say congratulations again to Mrs. Iris Arnold, who last week received the Athena Award for 2020 from the Women's Division, Leavenworth Lansing Area Chamber of Commerce. She makes a great contribution to our community, so congratulations again for that. And last but not least, often we feel in the midst of a mess, health challenges, disagreements, in a chaotic world. We have to step back, take a moment, and remember the resilience of the human spirit, the resilience of the human heart. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and with open arms, Happy New Year 2021.
Thank you, Commissioner. Very good. Very good. Commissioner Preisinger.
Last Friday, I know that 3 of the commissioners here, the mayor and 2 other commissioners, were at the ribbon cutting for Thornton. I wasn't able to make it. I was with a group of 7 other people where we did interviews of 9 attorneys in the Leavenworth and Atchison areas to select names for judges to be sent forward to the governor. And we are in that meeting, those interviews all day with one of the Supreme Court justices, who's the chairman of our commission, Justice Eric Rosen. And the 4 names that we sent forward to the governor were John Kurth, an attorney from Atchison, John Bryant from the Piper area, Andrew Waring from Atchison, and Mike Jones from Lansing. Those 4 names are now on the governor's desk. She has 60 days to choose one, or I guess in theory, throw them all back and say, let me see some more. I don't think that will happen, but I suspect one of those 4 will be chosen to replace Judge Bednar, who is retiring, I think, the end of this month. So it's a good process, and I'm glad to be part of it. Just want to emphasize on masks. Obviously, the vaccines are starting to come out. The first ones have come into the Kansas City area, and the healthcare workers as well, they should. And hopefully get those and into the nursing homes and whatever the status of everyone is or the priority. I hope that as many people as possible get them. In the meantime, please continue wearing a mask. It's not that big of an imposition. It protects the other person from you, whether if you have COVID and don't know it. So it's that. It's not necessarily protecting you from a person that has it. So as I've said many times, it's the patriotic thing to do. It's the Christian thing to do. It's just the right thing to do. So please wear the mask. Let's get through this. We can get through this as a country and as a world. And Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy New Year to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Griswold.
I got a couple of calls from constituents, one of whom is a veteran, about the vaccines and their arrival and, you know, whether the VA Eisenhower Medical Center was going to have them. There's a good article in today's Leavenworth Times by John Richmeyer, vaccine expected to arrive this week in county. I want to take about 30 or 45 seconds just to highlight a couple of things. As we know, the Food and Drug Administration last Friday issued an emergency use authorization for the vaccine from Pfizer, which is the one that requires that extreme refrigeration to be approved, and that's what we've seen rolling out over the, or I guess it began Sunday and yesterday. Sam Alrod, spokesman for St. John Hospital, said he does not have a timeline for when the Leavenworth Hospital will receive doses of the vaccine, but it is anticipated to occur this week. Like everybody else, we're kind of waiting to get final word, he said. He said frontline employees at the hospital who come in contact with patients in the emergency room, intensive care, and COVID-19 units will receive the initial vaccinations. That's where the first doses will go, he said. The only other thing I'd like to say is that there was a Leavenworth County Health Department official who said that as vaccines are available, the county health department will offer the vaccine to those that fit priority levels identified by the state. The health department will assist in providing the vaccine to the community once it is available to do so. And finally, the Eisenhower VA Medical Center in Leavenworth is not among the first 37 Department of Veterans Affairs medical centers selected to receive doses of the vaccine in the initial wave. The department released a list last week of the first 37 VA medical centers that will receive the vaccine. The list does not include any sites in Kansas, but Mr. Joseph Burks, the spokesman for the Eisenhower VA Medical Center, said in an email that Leavenworth Hospital, the VA hospital, Eisenhower Medical Center, may receive doses once a vaccine developed by the drug company Moderna also has been approved for emergency use. And I think that probably will occur tomorrow or the next day. So that's all I wanted to say, and I commend the article to the citizens of Leavenworth.
Well, it looks like thank you, sir. It looks like the Moderna is more stable at less cold temperatures, so it may be easier to distribute among the VA and among others, our prisons, for example, and that too. So anyway, we look forward to see how that's going to roll out. Yes,
One
sir.
more thing. Thank you, Mr. McDonald, for that very nice ceremony we had in terms of the ribbon cutting.
Yeah, that was nice.
It's a great project. It looks like a whole new landscape down there. The road looks new, but it looks fantastic. And thank you for organizing and executing that ribbon cutting ceremony. And I was glad to have the representatives from Finnis there and also Pissick, right? Pissick Construction Company. They've done a great job over the last 2 years on this particular project.
Okay.
And then I finally would like to wish all our citizens happy holidays and a happy new year. And we'll see you at our next meeting in early January.
Okay. I'd also like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, and we'll see you. We have one more. Don't we have one on the 29th or something?
That's the 5th. That's the January 5th.
Not till 5th. Okay. Next year. Happy New Year to everybody. Thank you so much, and we are adjourned.
I know.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry. Can't move without that.
I don't need contract now, but I'll just email you sometime. Come over.